An ice factory 200 kilometers north of Bangkok wouldn't seem to most of us an ideal venue to make a blockbuster movie. But in August of 1971, a Hong Kong film production company decided that it was just that. The film was called The Big Boss. The production company was Golden Harvest, and the star was Bruce Lee. And the world of action cinema would never be the same again.
Now, you get out of here. I'm warning you. You bastards can't push us around. You want to fight? I'll take you on.
The film's setting was Pak Chong, Thailand, which in Bruce Lee's day was a small, underdeveloped village. Presently, Pak Chong is a thriving tourist town. Located 124 miles northeast of Bangkok, Pak Chong is nestled in the foot of a range of mountains separating the Menam Plain from the Korat Plateau. In Bruce Lee's day, there was one solitary road coming into Pak Chong. Now it boasts a 4-lane highway. And yet, apart from Rome, some of the most perfectly preserved Bruce Lee locations in existence are to be found in this small town. The ice factory that served as the central focus of the film is not only still operational almost 40 years after The Big Boss was filmed here, but it has also changed very little. It was here that Bruce Lee had his first fight scene, not only in the film, but first ever as the lead in a major motion picture. The location of this battle is perfectly preserved. The post that Lee fights in front of is still present. The dock itself has now been expanded up to and beyond the post. But the post is still there, as are all the others from the original ice factory. The present owner, who was a child of 10 when The Big Boss was filmed in his village, was on the set almost daily watching the action. He recalls that the bell Bruce rung in the movie was actually a bomb that had been cut in half and employed as a bell owing to its unique tone. The original bomb bell was long ago taken to a scrapyard and discarded, replaced by a new, real bell. The owner also recalls precisely where the crew of The Big Boss filmed their scenes at the ice factory, and even knows where the original ice saw blades are located. Blades that, in the film, were used not only to cut through ice, but to cut through and help dispose of human bodies that had gotten wise to the Big Boss's drug smuggling operation.
The things changed a lot, after Bruce Lee gone.
So maybe now you're the big boss.
I'm here the big boss, true big boss here, this ice pack. But generous,
Yes.
and very good, and very good person.
A genial man, the present owner is used to people from all over the world stopping by to see the Bruce Lee locale that is now his family business. He has made changes to the ice factory over the years. The foreman's office that abutted the ice dock was long ago torn down and replaced by a more modern version. The side it was located on has been moved by 15 feet or so to accommodate a driveway. He has removed the large water tower and replaced it with a swimming pool for his family. The ice factory now draws water from a little river that flows behind it, drawing up through a purification system before pumping it into the containers that will then be submerged in a climate-controlled freezer. When they're frozen, they are lifted out in the same manner that they were in 1971, by an electric winch that carries the containers to the saw area, spilling the ice out onto the ice factory deck. The length and shape of the ice is the same as it appears in The Big Boss. And why not? After all, they still employ the same ice containers. The other structure that has remained unchanged all these years is this storage shed, located some 20 yards to the left of the ice factory. Now, as in 1971, this storage area provides room for discarded materials. The shed also serves as a parking area for trucks and other vehicles. And 10 feet from its shaky frame is the site of Bruce Lee's second fight sequence in this film. A spectacular battle with the Big Boss's henchmen, which was filmed at nighttime. According to this man, who was present on the set when the fight scene was filmed, there never was an ice storage shed. The production crew of the Big Boss had erected a facade of a building, and it was within this facade that the battle began. And when the battle moved outside, it was continued here, on the driveway in front of the shed. After filming a battle like that, Lee and his adversaries would need to rest up, and while in Pak Chong, they did so here, at the Rim Tarn Inn. In 1971, this hotel was known as the new Wan Chai Hotel, and certain staff members remain from that time. A lady employed at the new Wan Chai as a housekeeper during the time that Bruce Lee and the crew were filming still remembers Lee, and what room he stayed in. It was from here that Bruce Lee wrote and received letters home, awaited news on Hollywood's interest in his services, and prepared to shoot martial arts sequences that set a new standard in action films. The view from the window in Lee's room reveals a courtyard that once contained a swimming pool for its guests. Upon entering the lobby, she recollects seeing Lee practicing his fight scene choreography on an almost daily basis in this location. Another favorite location at the hotel that Lee used to warm up and practice techniques prior to heading for the set was this area just beside the hotel. Her most vivid memory from 38 years ago involving Bruce Lee was when he asked her if she could help remove the mattress from his room, saying he preferred to sleep on the hard floor owing to a back injury he had sustained. Another of the film's more memorable moments was filmed about 200 yards behind the hotel, along the banks of a river. In this locale, which appears 3 times in the film, Lee is seen protecting his cousin, walking with his cousin, and taking his final vows for revenge after his other relatives have been murdered and his cousin has been kidnapped by the Big Boss's henchmen. The Little Waterfalls has changed little since Bruce Lee filmed these scenes. It has expanded a little, but the concrete edging is still there. The falls with its characteristic split in the middle formed by rocks still flows. The tree that Lee walks in front of still stands, albeit considerably larger after almost 40 years. Even a big rock that appears in the scene is still present, identified not only by its oblong shape, but by the peculiar scarring that appears along its surface. This little waterfalls and river still provides a contrast of serenity and calm to the hustle and bustle of the Pak Chong streets beyond it. One of these streets was the locale for another famous scene from the film, in which Bruce Lee's character, after a night of drinking, wakes up, to his shock, in a brothel. As he hastily exits the establishment, he is embarrassed to encounter his cousin delivering laundry to the facility. And as he hurriedly runs away, he passes a sign bearing Thai letters. These letters translate to train station, as the Pak Chong train station is located only 2 blocks from this street. That exact sign still stands on the same pole, on the same spot of the same street today, making it easy to locate the location where this scene was filmed. According to the local merchants on the street, the original wooden building that Bruce Lee is shown coming out of burned down, along with several others on the street. These have been replaced by more modern, more fireproof establishments. But that road sign, for all its dents and years, still stands as a marker, indicating the sidewalk that Bruce Lee once ran along almost 4 decades ago. Another locale that is still present in Thailand is the pier that audiences will recognize from its appearance in the very first scene of the film. Today, its unique X-form foundation is all that indicates its significance in action film history. It, like the ice factory, still operates today, ferrying passengers across the river to get to work and return home. The terminal itself still plays host to local vendors and tradespeople, just as it did in 1971. The outside of the terminal still faces busy streets, albeit much busier ones these days. The ferry sequence was filmed in an area that is considerably closer to Bangkok than it is to Pak Chong. As a result, it was filmed near the end of the production's time in Thailand and allowed the crew to stay at a bigger hotel, the Hotel Damak. In 1971, the Hotel Damak was called the Thai Hotel, and it is another location that is almost exactly the same now as it was 40 years ago when Bruce Lee stayed here. In 1971, this man was the hotel's controller, and as with the lady at the Rim Tarn Inn, he too remembers the hotel's famous guest vividly. This, he recollects, was the very room that Bruce Lee occupied while at the Hotel Damak. Many of the room's contents remained unchanged since Bruce Lee checked in. Present are the same mirror, the same window frame, and the same view from the same balcony. According to Lee's co-star, Mary Yee, Lee would sun himself by this pool, although he never swam in it, causing the director of The Big Boss, Lo Wei, to comment on Lee's beautiful legs. As in his hotel in Pak Chong, while in Bangkok, Lee evidently preferred being near fire exits. And at the Hotel Damak, our controller recalls watching Lee practice his martial arts on the hotel fire escape, which was conveniently, if not deliberately, located just outside his hotel room door. And while the locales of hotels, waterfalls, train signs, and ice factories are impressive in their own right, the most impressive and significant Bruce Lee locale in all of Thailand, and perhaps of any Bruce Lee site still remaining, is the Big Boss's house. The house itself was formerly a crematorium in Pak Chong, and sometime after filming wrapped, the house was donated to a Buddhist order where it is now referred to by the townspeople of Pak Chong merely as the temple. Monks walk about the property now. Apart from its new occupants, however, the house itself remains unchanged. It is as if one has entered a time capsule and being transported back to 1971. It has the same entranceway, the same hallway, the same basement stairs, and the same rooms and walls that were seen in the film. The landmarks are so well preserved you can almost still see Bruce Lee walking up to the entrance gate of the compound. The only difference now being the addition of flags on the fence posts, a concrete sidewalk, and a two-car highway that replaced the one-lane road from 1971. And as one looks out over the expanse of the boss's yard, it is almost as if one is walking with ghosts. The large spirit house provides a point of reference for not only Lee's epic fight scene at the end of the film, but also earlier scenes involving the film's fight choreographer and boss himself, Han Ying-che, and actors Tony Lau and James Chen. The house is intended to provide a shelter for spirits that might create problems for people if not appeased. A tree in the left corner of the yard is now home to a monkey that watches the animals and monks. Like a latter-day Buddha, the monkey sees all, but with a serene sense of detachment from it all. The yard itself hasn't changed at all. The pool is still present, although drained of its water for over 15 years. Different sections of the front lawn hosted different scenes from The Big Boss. On this section, just in front of the pool and to the right of the steps, Lee's character is confronted by the boss's henchmen, as the boss himself watches from the steps of his home. And it was this section in front of the pool that Lee engaged the boss himself in one of the most spectacular fight sequences ever filmed. And photographers captured the most iconic martial arts image of the 20th century. The film had its premiere here, at the Grand Ocean Cinema, located on 1 Canton Road in Kowloon. When the film ended, the patrons erupted in thunderous applause, and Lee was carried out of the theater on a wave of appreciation and adulation. People left the theaters after watching The Big Boss feeling emboldened and renewed. It was as if Bruce Lee had been able to touch emotions and feelings within them that had long been suppressed and release them. It was not just his martial artistry, impressive as that was, but the emotional expression that attended his displays of martial mastery. Lee's character had been thoroughly provoked and beset with social and racial injustices, making his final, ultimate volcanic eruption of rage all the more satisfying. With a breakout hit under their belt, Golden Harvest Studios quickly moved into production on Fist of Fury. The bulk of the filming was done within a huge set that was erected within one of their sound stages in Hong Kong. But an important, to some the most important scene in Hong Kong action cinema history was slated to be shot a mere 37 miles southwest from Hong Kong, in China's other only special administrative region of Macau.